Welcome to another edition of the Five Star Zone. Rico Beard, your host. And I was at the spring game for Michigan State, the spring practice last Saturday. It was a beautiful day, may have been a record setting day for temperature, and a lot of observations that I walked away with. So I just want to jump right into that. And probably the biggest one is the quarterback. And when it came to the quarterback position, there was three guys out there, but it looks like it's really down to two people. It's an open competition. Mel Tucker said that even though Peyton Thorne is the incumbent, everybody has a shot at being the QB, starting QB for next year. After I finished watching the game, it kind of boiled down to either Peyton Thorne or Noah Kim. That's just to me. Now, I think that those are going to be the two guys that go into the summer battling it out for that position. And the reason being is they just look the sharpest with the first team. When you look at it, now for Noah Kim, what he's going to find out is a lot of pressure comes with being the starting quarterback, not just Michigan State, but anywhere. And you can see Peyton Thorne even talked. He's starting to feel the pressure. You can kind of see that on his throws. He's not as comfortable. Kim is still feeling the job of, well, you know what? I'm the backup guy. And the backup guy is always the looser guy. The backup guy knows that, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and have fun. You kind of saw that with Noah Kim last year when he got into games. He just slung the ball, and he threw a lot of touchdowns. He excited a lot of fans. Caden Hauser was the third quarterback out there. Now, he completed some passes, but he just did not look as comfortable. And I know that's a big fan favorite. Everybody wants to see him. He was the Elite 11 quarterback. But in my opinion, he did not look that comfortable. And I looked at that practice as pressure. Wasn't a game, but all eyes were on you, and you wanted to really stand out, and he did not stand out. And when you're Peyton Thorne, you do have a little bit of of things on your side, so people can kind of say, we know what you can do. We've kind of seen what Noah Kim can do in spurts, but with Caden, we haven't seen it. So therefore, he really needed to be head and shoulders above the other two quarterbacks, and I just didn't see that. So yeah, I think it boils down to Thorne. I think it boils down to Kim. Now, in my opinion, Kim probably outplayed Thorne in that game. We all saw the throw that he made to Antonio Gates Jr. Noah Kim did. The touchdown was a beautiful pass. I mean, he just kind of dropped it in the bucket, and I'll get to Gates Jr. a little bit later on in this podcast. But that was going up against the second team. What you did see was Peyton Thorne against the first team, and he was trying to get the job done. Now, I think for Peyton, I think his worst enemy right now is himself, because he does not look like a man who's comfortable. He doesn't look like a man who knows that the job is his. He looks like a man who's fighting for the job every day. He feels the pressure, and he knows that one slip up and he is going to be replaced. And you kind of saw that even in the touchdown scramble, where he's on that I got to win at all cost type of mentality, and he just took off and ran. Now, if he gets the job, hopefully that mentality stays with him of, we got to score, we got to move the ball no matter what. But as far as now, I do think that it's probably just between those two. Now, we'll see what Caden does over the summer. But as of now, I think the coaching staff, because there was really no clear separation, I do think that the coaches will end up telling Peyton Thorne he's going to be the starter going into the season, into the first game against Central Michigan. Like I said, if it were me, I thought Kim outperformed him in the game, but not enough to usurp the job and take it from him. And it is, like I said, and it kind of reminds me a lot of, what was it, 2013, when it was the big open quarterback competition. It was Andrew Maxwell. He was the incumbent guy. It was the fan favorite in Damian Terry. And it was the third string quarterback in Connor Cook that nobody really liked. In the end, Maxwell didn't get the job done. They gave him he started the year off. He just looked okay. They were making the move to Damian Terry. And in I think one of the first throws of the practice, he banged his thumb on the defense's helmet, thumb swole up. They were forced to play Connor Cook, but Cook was going to have a quick hook. If he messed up, he was out, and they were going to go back with Maxwell. I believe that was a Notre Dame game, and they actually pulled him in that game, put Maxwell in. That was the only game the state lost. And then, and that's when they went with the maybe we go with Damian Terry. Terry bust his thumb up. Cook has to play against Iowa. I was actually talking to Benny Fowler about this during the spring practice, and he threw a pass to Fowler. I think Fowler scored. Fowler could remember the play vividly, and then the rest was history. And then Cook became Cook became the best quarterback in his tenure at Michigan State. I think he only lost 6 or 7 games over 3 years. So I say that to say we all think we know who should be the QB, but sometimes you find out later it wasn't your guy. But right now, I do expect it to be Peyton Thorne going into the Central Michigan game. The other 2 guys really got to separate themselves from him, and they have not done that since. I can't base it upon speculation. I can only base it upon what I have seen. Another thing that I took away from this game was the defense. Now, it wasn't a game because the defensive starters had some minor injuries to them, especially on the D line. But when I look at the D line, I see a lot of rotation. I see a lot of different people who can get in there and get this thing going. And it to me, I think it's going to be a strength. I mean, the fact that you can move guys back. I mean, first of all, you got a lot of the guys back from the whole tunnel incident that we all, remember or would like to forget. But then when you look and you see Brule and Winman back in their natural spots, and they're coming more like that Micah Parsons type of linebacker / edge rusher. Michigan State should be able to bring a lot of heat from different positions. So I really like what I'm seeing on the defensive line, whether it's to Mise or by Job, Van Summeren. I mean, they got a lot of rotation. Ken Talley, they have rotation that everybody that I just described, second teamers. Those aren't the first teamers. You got guys like Dunn who really took off last year and became a major player. You got a lot of people on that defensive line that I think Michigan State should be able to really rotate and keep this thing going. With a better defensive line becomes a better secondary. And as we all know, it's been a bugaboo for State fans for the longest. Secondary has not been good, but I think a lot of that comes from the lack of pressure on the QB. Chuck Brantley did not play in the game, minor injury. Dylan Tatum did not play in the game, minor injury. So you didn't really see the first team corners out there. But I do think that the defense will take a step up. And I think they'll get out of the hundreds. And I think that even if think about this, if they're just average, you're probably looking at about 2 to 3 more victories. If they're just somewhere around the 60th best defense and not the 105th best defense. So I do think you're going to see improvement. I do think you're going to see something off the line. By Job on the defensive line, number 22, the incoming freshman. I think he was one of the highest rated recruits. He's going to be a player. He's going to start. He's going to be in the rotation. He's not going to start games, but he will get a lot of playing time. Another one is Jordan Hall. My God, he looks the part. Now, people are like, well, why isn't he going to start? Well, you got Jacoby Windman, and he's a lot better at the linebacker spot. Now, Jordan Hall, he's going to be good. I think he's going to be that player. And I think, as the backup linebacker, he's going to see some time in there. You also got to see what happens with Snow. He did not play. He had a brace on his leg, but he's going to be ready. They've enhanced through the tragedies of last year with all the injuries and everything that went on. I really do think that that's going to help them in the front 7, and it's going to relieve a lot of the pressure off the back 4. So that's something to look out for too as well. As far as players that stood out for me, one, I really like what I saw to Nate Carter, the running back transfer from UConn. I like how he could just plant his foot and get up the field. He's going to remind a lot of people, and I got to be careful. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Kenneth Walker, but he reminds me a lot of what I saw out of K9 when I first saw him in practice, of how he just plants his foot, he goes north and south, and he tries to pick up the yards. That's what you need, because Michigan State has not had an effective running game. I think that, as a matter of fact, they were 12th in the Big Ten last year, 12th out of 14 teams. That's a problem. The offensive line is going to help. They got 19 starters. I think the key now is to figure out who's going to be your starting 5, who's going to be in your rotation. But the fact that you have 19 available players will help you out tremendously. Now, the key is, Once you get that going, it'll protect the QB. It'll get your running game going. Like I said, Carter to me is a guy that I think Spartan fans are going to be happy to see. Another one, though, it was funny. It was after the game talking to one of the coaches is Jalen Barberin, kid out of California, running back. He runs a 10-300, I believe. In other words, he's fast. That's the burner. That's that speed back that I think State, the home run hitter that I don't think State has had since probably Walker left. That guy that can take it and take it to the house. Now we'll see how he blends in the running back spot, but they're fairly deep with Mangum, the senior coming in from South Florida. I think he's going to be that power back. They got a lot of position, but it really boils down to, can you get that running game going with the offensive line? Now, but back to what I was saying, yeah, Carter, I think is going to be that guy. Another sleeper guy, and you kind of saw him in the highlight of Noah Kim, is Antonio Gates Jr. There was a lot of good things being said about him last season. I think he's going to be one of those guys that over time is going to become that possession receiver, that big play type of receiver. I am expecting him to be that sleeper guy of all the guys that are out there. Another one, you kind of saw this a little bit, and especially if they learn how to use his height correctly, would be Christian Fitzpatrick, the wide receiver, number 16. 6'5", in the red zone, he can be that weapon. On that final drive where it was the 2 minute, it was 50 seconds left on the clock, he caught one of the passes across the field. Like I said, for me, using that height and that ability, I think would be the best thing that Michigan State could do. Another one is, just Malik Carr. Malik Carr, he's a mismatch. Jay Johnson's got to learn how to use him to his advantage, because when he catches the ball, it's a business decision, and I don't think a lot of people want to tackle him. So that's another player that I think could really spark and help this offense. And whoever wins the quarterback job, they need to make Malik Carr their roommate, make Malik Carr their best friend. Finally, probably the biggest thing is when it comes down to the spring game, I think you got a punter. You got a new punter. I think it's Patton. He's going to be okay. But it comes down to place kicking. And Michigan State, they were dead last when it came to place kicking. I mean, they couldn't kick field goal to save their life. As a matter of fact, we all know that missing the field goal against Indiana was why they did not go bowling when it was 1st and goal from the 10-yard line with a minute to go, and they came up with 0 points in regulation. Now, Jonathan Kim's the kicker coming in from North Carolina. The only problem is he was the kickoff guy. He was not an actual field goal kicker. So I don't know what he can do. They're banking on him, but I got a feeling that they're still looking at other guys in the portal, maybe from a walk-on. And that's the other thing too, is Mel Tucker's still going to be, and that staff still going to be active in the portal. So I do expect some people to leave. Hamp Fate checked out today. He was the former quarterback who then moved to safety, who then moved to tight end, and he was kind of a man without a position. So I see him. He's probably going to go back to playing that quarterback position. You're probably going to get other players too who are going to leave and hit the portal, but State will be active, and they probably are still trying to bring in some more people depending on who leaves. But right now, I'd still say a lot is going to be placed on Jonathan Kim, the kicker from North Carolina, to transfer. If he can't get it done, that's got to be crucial. You got to do something, open auditions, anything, because right now, man, you have to be able to at least score points if you get down within the 25-yard line. So that was my breakdown of the MSU spring practice / game. Thanks for watching the 5-Star Zone. If you got any questions or comments, feel free. You know what? You can tweet them at me. I'll try to address them in the next podcast. But until then, keep listening, keep subscribing, keep watching, keep telling your friends. Thanks for watching the 5-Star Zone.